I tell you, they're winning. OK, gather round. Our feisty Sunday night panellists are ready to rumble. Let's welcome Prue McSween, Senator Hollie Hughes and the mighty Richo. G'day there, team.
Hi, Smithy. Hi, guys.
Good evening.
I want to start.
Hi, guys.
I want to start with you, Hollie, if I may, on the attack on English. We seem to be losing the fight in this attempt to brainwash our kids, aren't we?
Yeah, oh, look, it's absolutely appalling. And Minister Tudge is right when he talks about one of the most scary parts of this is the fact that these are the people teaching the future. And it's not just happening to teachers. It's across the whole university academic sector in that they are adopting and clinging to these woke concepts, whether it's the Confucius Institutes that we saw, all of this left-wing ideology that's being pushed through into university students. I mean, I can tell you, most of us have stories that have been to university in the last couple of decades, that if you wrote anything that was not from a left-wing perspective, they might not have failed you, but they certainly didn't give you as high marks as those that were emulating the left-wing view.
Isn't
this
that
has been happening, you know, for decades,
Yeah. Nothing's enough for those who choose to be eternal victims, Prue.
Well, Smithy, I'm so cross about this and I'm annoyed. Look, Alan Tudge has said it's nonsense. He's concerned about it. Mate, you're the bloody minister, sucker. And why are we not doing this across the board with all these bloody public servants who have taken the left march into our bureaucracies, into our institutions? In this case, we're abusing our kids. We are brainwashing our kids with crap. And we're churning out kids who do not have basics of education. Stop hand-wringing. Sarah Mitchell, the same thing in New South Wales. Get rid of the lot of them. Sack the bastards because they are doing the wrong thing by all of us. It infuriates me.
I can tell. Richo, I want to put to you what's occurring in the Middle East right now. On one side of the world, we've got the Brits and the Yanks and the Australians heading in somewhere in Afghanistan to try and rescue those Afghan workers that helped us. But meantime, the Taliban has beat them to Kabul. This is not looking pretty at all, is it?
It's looking really, really bad. And I don't know how the hell we're going to get anyone out now that the Taliban have basically taken the country. And, of course, it's been pretty obvious that they were going to take the country for a long time. When US troops withdrew, we withdrew, what did they think was going to happen?
Yeah.
Did they really think the Afghan government would be able to resist the Taliban? Surely not, because nobody else did.
No, it's almost as if they've come out of the sand, like they've come out of nowhere, taken 15 cities out of the blue, and then arrived in Kabul well and truly before the Allies who were trying to do the last of the mopping up. Mate, I don't know how this is going to go. There's some word from the Taliban being reported by Al Jazeera, Richo, that they're allowing anyone who wants to leave to leave. That might avoid bloodshed, which will be in revenge for those in Kabul who helped the Allies.
Well, I have no doubt that there will be bloodshed. This is the Taliban we're talking about. Whatever promise they make, you should take with a grain of salt. These people are murderous thugs. That's all they've ever been. That's all they ever will be. So I don't take any heart from this. And I think if I were an Afghan who had been supporting Australian troops while they were there in whatever role, you know, interpreter or providing food for them or whatever, I would be terrified of what my future would be. And I'd be wanting to get out in a hurry. Now, I just hope we don't have immigration officials crawling all over this. If you're an Afghan and you've helped us, we should have a plane there and you should jump on it. And we should just, when you get here, admit you. We shouldn't be saying, oh, no, we'll have to send you back, because a lot of these officials get stuck on rules. I don't care about rules here. This is about people's lives. This is about whether people die or not. It's not about whether or not they can tick a box. It's a bit bigger than that.
Yeah. Hollie, I want to take you to New South Wales. This Operation Stay at Home begins tomorrow. Another 500 ADF troops. We've got $5,000 penalties for those who breach orders. The Premier had this to say today to those who want to get out of lockdown.
Can I say yesterday was an absolute wake-up call, and as Dr. Chand has said, we can't stress enough that we don't want to go down the path of all these other places overseas where they have literally thousands and thousands and thousands of cases a day. That's what Delta is doing to communities that have much higher vaccination rates than we do. So it is our opportunity to have a forward path for Australia, which is different to what's occurred everywhere else. That's why we're really begging people to take this seriously, to please know that to protect yourself and your loved ones and to protect our freedom moving forward. If you want freedom moving forward, just do the right thing. Stay at home. Stay home, get vaccinated. That's it. So can I say to everybody in New South Wales, the future is in our hands. Together we can do this.
Hollie, can we do it now?
Look, I think as I've been looking at this and looking at what's been happening overseas, we keep hearing case numbers. We're still not really getting a true picture of what's happening around hospitalisations, who's asymptomatic. There may be a positive result, but they're asymptomatic. Our vaccination rates are increasing. I think what was announced yesterday with regards to the 5 kilometre rule, I had people reach out to me that I didn't know through official channels that their buddy was within the 10Ks but not the 5Ks, and they were really confused and upset. I think the mental health impacts that these things are going to happen. I have to say the registration of who your bubble buddy is, I find just abhorrent to all of my values.
Naming a single person on Service New South Wales website, boy oh boy, talk about a step too far.
But the thing was, though, is from my understanding, it was acknowledged this had nothing to do with health advice. This has everything to do with ease of policing. And I find that very, very unsettling. I think we do need to continue to focus on vaccination rates. We just heard previously from Professor Doherty that once you are vaccinated, you are less likely to pass on, you are less likely to get ill. I think this continual which seems to be sort of going across the states now, and at least Gladys may have moved away from that today. This COVID zero chase that we're on is just insanity. That's not going to happen. We haven't lost chickenpox. We haven't lost the flu. All of those things still exist. And this chasing of zero is ridiculous. It's all about vaccines, but it's understanding what the impacts are. We were told, 18 months ago when this started, that we needed a 2-week lockdown to get the hospitals ready, to get the ventilators ready. And we're at nowhere near stretch capacity. And whilst it's terrible that people are affected by it and it's tragic that those are ill, we are seeing that they're not vaccinated people. They're certainly not doubly vaccinated people. And that's where the focus needs to be, not by impinging further damage to people's mental health through making them register who their buddy bubble is. I just find it offensive.
That was the offensive part of increased restrictions. I've got to agree with you entirely. I want to raise 2 other points about the economy. Terry McCrann wrote today that lockdowns were turning Australia into a recession, and he was convinced we are literally in a recession, the second recession that we don't need, Prue. And then on top of that, even 35,000 immigrants who have residential status in Australia, they've nicked off back overseas, back to their families. They thought that Australia would be reopening by now. They're not. We've got to fly to this point where we can reopen, don't we?
100%. We've got this brain drain now of all these people who we needed and who wanted to become, part of the Australian society and live here forever. We also then have this situation where I was listening, I think it was to Barra on the radio this morning, who was saying, we'll bounce back again as we did before with business. People who've been locked up will suddenly want to dine out every night and go and spend up big. The problem is that the businesses won't be open. There will be not the shops to go to anymore. Right. The small business owners have been finished by this now, and it's been too long. It's taken too long to get them bailed out. They're still waiting, so many of them, They were too late in bringing in the rent relief and imposing those landlord restrictions.
Yep.
I know of so many businesses that have just done and dusted. They've lost their homes. They've lost their heart. And I just think this is certainly, we are going to be, if we're not already going to be heading for a recession.
Pick a date, Richo. Pick a date. When should we open?
Oh, look, mate, I think we've got to open up really soon. I don't care if you open up tomorrow afternoon. We cannot just continue to lock down. It's going to kill this country's economy.
Yep.
Stone dead it'll be if we don't do something about this. So forget about lockdowns. We've tried those. They haven't worked. They're not suddenly going to start working. What we've got to do is just keep working on the vaccination rate till you get it to 100%. Just keep going flat out on that. That's the only course of action available to us. But we can't lock down. We have to go to work. We have to keep the economy ticking over.
Yeah. Prue, Hollie, Graham, have a fantastic week ahead. We'll talk again next week.
Thanks, Smithy. Bye, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
mate.
Smithy.
Good
See you
to have you on
guys.
the program. We'll jump on the